Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start from the beginning. It didn't say it was recording.
It did.
It did.
Is it? Okay, great. All right, guys, welcome to Wcboo University Fall 2022. Welcome, welcome. We're going to go over some administrative things right now because it's a brand new class. I want you guys to get to know us as well as we want to get to know you. So I'm going to introduce myself first. I am Sherry Zappola. I have been with Wcboo since its inception. Terry, who you have not met yet, but have communicated with on email, will be here next week. She is our head guru and our head of the educational team. But Carrie and I put together this program because we wanted collegiate officials or officials that wanted to take the next step to either college ranks or even further in their college career to get a deeper dive into the rules instead of just kind of like reading the rule book. Yeah, that's okay. And yes, you'll learn something new every time you read that rule book. But when you work with great instructors like you have here tonight and get to talk with them and discuss with them and deeper dive in the rules and see clips, you are going to learn so much more. Okay. I have been officiating college basketball for 14 years now. I'm kind of on my downslope here. The educational part of things is really where my passion is. I'm also a professor at Adelphi University, so teaching is my gig. So with that said, I will be leading the call tonight. And as you can see, I am just one of 4 instructors on this team. Scott Perkins is our second one and he's going to introduce himself.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Scott Perkins. I'm from Manalapan, New Jersey, which is Central Jersey, although some people think it's south or north, depending on where you live. I've been refereeing college basketball for about 12 years, specifically about 9 years at Division I level. I'm here to help. I'm always available. Looking forward to talking rules and like kind of echo what Sherry said. We, as much as you guys probably gain from this, we gain as well, because I think talking rules, especially this time of year, is really, really essential for all of our growth. And I think that, like Sherry said, reading a rule book is all fine and good, and it's very important that we do that. But really, dialogue and talking about plays and kind of piggybacking off each other's thoughts and just engaging each other is really, really important, especially this time of year. I know there's other study groups, and we're not competing with them. We're just another resource, another outlet for you guys to hopefully use. Hopefully you spread the word. You can tell your friends if you have anybody who's new to the officiating game, or even people who are, have been doing it a few years. Just kind of touch base, and getting a good discussion helps everybody. So looking forward to it, and here for to help and be of assistance to everybody.
Thanks, Scott. Rich, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. My name is Rich Fetter. I live in Wayne, New Jersey. I'm about an hour west of New York City. I've been with Wcboo about 1.5 years now, and about to start my 11th collegiate year of officiating, about 8 at the Division I level. Very good friends with Scott. Really, this is my second time teaching this class, and like Scott said, I'll just echo him. We see this as a safe space to ask any questions. If you want to share your own plays to get feedback and just to spark a conversation, but it's definitely a great way to advance. The rules are probably the biggest thing that we need to do in terms of officiating games. So this is a great program to learn and enhance your rules knowledge, but also to ask any questions or bounce ideas off of all of us, whether it's in-game officiating or the off the floor handling your business component as well. So looking forward to working with everybody.
Thanks, Rich. That's a great point about off court stuff too, and we can talk about that this year as well. And our fourth one tonight is Carl Small.
Hi, I'm Carl Small. I'm from Long Island, New York. As Sherry said, I've been with Wcboo since the inception. Sherry and I work very, very closely together because we actually also teach the local high school course. for girls basketball. As many of you may know or may not know, in New York, we do follow the NCAA women's rules. So, you know, from when we both started, we were following those rules. So we definitely do have a good knowledge of it. I'm kind of chasing Sherry's coattails and the stuff that she's doing as far as, you know, teaching and interpreting and stuff like that. She's definitely a great sounding board to bounce off of, and you know, we go back and forth, and you'll kind of see where we kind of act like an old married couple, although we're not. But you know, we're really good friends. Scott, I've known him for many years, as well as Rich. They were definitely a great addition to our group, and they're definitely great to bounce questions off. They always have awesome plays to share and to break down, whether they were right or wrong. So, I mean, we definitely do have a great group of officials. We have a great group of teachers, and we look forward to helping you educate yourself and improve yourself and become a better women's basketball official.
Thanks, Carl, for that. All right, so that's your instructors for the course. Now we want to get to know you. We want to know, you know, Dylan, you're still here, so that's great. We want to where you're from, your experience, what maybe your aspirations might are, and we just want to get to know you. So, Amanda, why don't you come off of speaker and talk?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Feldman. I am actually from South Jersey, Atlantic City kind of area. This is my 11th season. I just finished my 11th season of high school basketball, and this is my first incoming season as an NCAA official, so I'm brand new.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I had a really long summer. I had a lot of people help me, went to a lot of camps, and it paid off. So I'm just happy to be here. I'm just happy that, you know, this is available for people like me who are kind of don't know where to start. So I appreciate it, and I'm happy to be here.
You know, and Amanda, this is a great class for you. This is awesome. We're really going to help you with your first year of experience, and this is perfect timing for you, actually. So you're going to get a lot out of this class. So we're happy to have you. And what part of Jersey are you from? Because my brother's South Jersey.
Okay, well, I'm from Ocean County, like Little Egg Harbor, but I've been living in Galloway for the last like 7 years. So Atlantic County, Ocean County.
Okay, where'd you go to high school?
Pinelands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's your brother from?
He lives in Linwood.
Okay, that's 10 minutes from here.
Right. That's kind of what I'm.
That's close.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Who hired you, Amanda? Who are you working for? It's coming.
Yes.
I'm going to be working for Mike Schmidt.
Awesome.
Ashley Good, Marty Novich, and Tim Ebersol. I only was planning on trying out for like 1 or 2 camps, but then kind of things fell into place. So I hope I didn't take on too much this season.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you may run into some of us, all right? Because we work with Mike Schmidt and Scott and Rich. Do you guys work for the other guys that she mentioned?
No,
Scott looks familiar.
Yes.
Were you at Referee Academy?
Yes, I knew you looked familiar.
Yeah, we did work together. You were very helpful after our game.
Awesome. Glad to see you. Congratulations. It's great.
Thank you.
I knew you get hired. Not that my opinion matters.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And
I
Amanda,
work for Marty and Mike as well, so we might run into each other somewhere.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Amanda, I may see you at some point for Marty's league. I'm on the executive board of that league, and then also observe that conference.
Okay, perfect. A lot of good people here.
Yeah, you get that right. Okay, thanks so much. Rashard, why don't you introduce yourself, Mr. Arizona?
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rashard Johnson. I'm originally from Chicago. I just moved to Arizona last year. I spent the last 10 years in Maryland. Prior to that, I spent 4 years in Germany. So I did FIBA ball, basketball over there. And then I was fortunate, one of the officials that when the colleges came over and they scrimmaged the military teams, I got to work with the division officials there. Prior to that, when I was in Texas, because I was in the military, I retired from the Army. When I was in Texas, I started doing college officiating there. I did junior college, D3, D2 there, moved to Germany, came back to Maryland. Maryland, I worked at WCAC and IAM, which both of them use college officiating, college mechanics. So I worked those two conferences for about 6 years. And then when I moved here to Arizona, I was trying to find a group. Luckily, Wcboo came up. I saw an email because I've been an IABLE member forever. And then I signed up for your class. Your class that was in spring. Then I saw this one and did that. I'm just here just to learn and stay abreast of the college rules. I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back to college when I'm here in Arizona because I really haven't found any organizations here, but I just want to stay abreast.
Awesome. All right, that's great. So you've been officiating for quite a while then. About how many years it sounds like?
About 20 years now.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Same with me. Yeah. Okay, great. That's good. All right. Welcome. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Hey, John, are you there, John? Not John Morgan. I know you're here, John, and welcome. And I will get to you in a minute. So hold on. John Donahue, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right. Welcome. And why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay, I've been a women's basketball official for about 13 years. I left the coaching ranks from AAU, and I saw what a great job all you were doing on the court, and I became part of it. And I'm looking to move forward with it.
Okay, so how much experience do you have with officiating?
I have, like I said, the 15 years. I've been strictly a high school official.
Okay.
And I'm willing just to stay at that level, but I want to learn from all you people that are experts in the game.
Okay, and where do you live?
I'm in White Plains, New York.
Oh, so you're okay, great. All right, that's great. Perfect.
I've been to a number of your camps too.
Okay, perfect. That's great. Welcome. That's you. Yeah, you're right where you need to be. John Morgan, hello. How are you? Welcome. We're just doing introductions right now. I introduced the staff, which you know most of us. So just introduce yourself. Want to tell the people where you are and how long you've been officiating at the level you've been officiating.
Good evening, everyone. John Morgan here.
What's up, John?
Sorry about them. Any case, of course, I've been officiating for 20 years now. Actually retired as a college official, not doing college anymore, doing high school. But still always want to stay abreast of the rules. And so I figured let me join an organization that stays abreast and stays current with the rules, and can't be being sharp a rules person. So
yeah, yep,
that's why I'm here, just taking advantage of the information and education you guys have, and appreciative of it, and just want to be as supportive with you guys as possible. So thank you for letting me allowing me to be a part of your thing, and it's good to see you guys again too.
excellent.
Thanks for
Welcome.
joining us, John. I remember I met
Welcome.
John when I first started, so it's definitely good to see you again.
Yep, welcome. Okay, great.
Thank you.
All right, so that is all. And two people are not here tonight. It looks like Ken Kelly and John Sheridan. John Sheridan, he's already taken our course. He wants to take it again. So he had a blast, and he wants to come back and learn some more. So he is not with us tonight, though. So with that said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a little bit of tour, because I know that you guys have just gotten your links for the courses. And I want to go over the Google Classroom and show you how we use that as well. So I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to, you know what? I'm going to go with Google. I'm going to go with with Wcboo. So this is just a course outline. Can you guys all see this? You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, great.
Yes.
Okay. So this is what your module is going to look like. It's going to say 2021 Women's Collegiate Basketball Rules Course, Class
Really?
1, Court and Equipment. And so all you have to do is you have to hit go, and it will, you know, this one actually is only about 15 minutes long, and you will either hear my voice and see me, or you will see and hear Carrie's voice. We recorded all the different classes. And so you just have to hit, and you can go at your own pace. And the great thing about this is it's 24/7. And, you know, if you work all day and you can do it at night, or you work all night and you do it during the day, or if you can't sleep at night and you're up at 1 o'clock, you can turn it on and do it. So it will have, let's see if this slide works. Okay, so this, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but at the end of the class, okay, the first class gives you an overview of what IBO is and what Wcboo is, and then it talks about courts and equipment. And then at the end, there will be a quiz for you to take, 25-question quiz. You have to take that to move on. So there are 8 modules. Carrie sent you she sent you a syllabus of what each week is. So we know this week is rules 1, or course 1 and 2, and then next week will be 3 and 4. So it's all pretty simple. It's self-explanatory, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what it looks like when you go to that. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing for a second. Is that clear? Did anybody, Rashad, you've already worked with this, right?
Yes, it looks like the same class we took in this past spring and summer.
It is. Yeah, it is. So tell them a little bit about it. It's pretty easy, right?
Yeah, I actually enjoyed it. I mean, the modules are self-explanatory. It walks you through. You have to complete one to go to the next one. And after each one, there's a quiz. And she said there's a quiz after each one. You take that quiz, and then at the end of the course, there's a final quiz where you go through all the different modules.
Right. Okay, great. Good. Okay, and at the end of that course, you will also get practice exams. There'll be practice exam 1, practice exam 2, and then there will be what's the mock exam, and then you'll take the final exam. Okay, and you have to get an 80 to pass it. Okay, so it's great. It's really easy. It's good, and we'll walk you guys through that. John, I saw your question, and yes, you will have a link for that. You should have already received it in your packet when Carrie sent those emails to you.
I'm going to send him an email for Joe Gabriel right now, if he's having trouble finding it. Because that's what Carrie said. If anybody's having trouble, that they can email Joe Gabriel.
Okay.
Send me Joe Gabriel's information, because I don't recall seeing anything in my email that gave me access to that. Appreciate if you do. Thank you.
Dylan, rule-based only, mechanics as well. Definitely rule-based. Not as much mechanics as we would like. We are working on that as we speak. All right, but we will talk about mechanics a lot when we break down film with these guys. So we'll be talking about mechanics then. So yeah, great question. Okay, anybody else have questions on it? Okay, great. All right, the next thing I want to take you to is our Wcboo course, our Google Classroom. Okay, so you also have a link for that. You got the class code right here. All you have to do is click on that, and this brings you to the Google Classroom. As you can see, the first thing we have here is the stream. It's called the stream. And so there are no phone calls or emails between us and Carrie and that kind of stuff. Everything goes in the stream. So if you have, like, for instance, tonight, John he put in the stream because he took the class last year, so he knew we would get this. He said, hey, I won't be able to attend Zoom tonight. Hope you all have a great season. See you in the next one. So I wrote back, sorry to hear that, John. I will put the recording in the classroom and Wcboo YouTube for you to view later. All right, so I'm, like I said, you guys know I'm recording this call. As soon as class is over, I will download it, and then I'm going to upload it to our YouTube page, and I will also put it in this stream in the classroom. Okay, so Carrie, here's all this. Here's John. Here's all the information right here. Here's the Zoom link. It's the same Zoom link every week. And she all put all this stuff in the classroom too. But this is going to be at our classwork as well. So everything we need here is in here. Yeah. So if we're discussing something one night and later on after the Zoom is over and you guys have a question and you were thinking about it or overthinking it and you have a question, all you have to do is put it in the stream and one of us will answer it. Most likely Carl, because he likes to do that. And he's up late at night, not sure why. But one of us will answer it. All right. So, or if one of you has an answer, you can put it in the classroom and in the stream and we will all see it. And anytime you put something in the classroom or in the stream, we all get a notification, all right, that somebody has put something in the stream. So it's a great way to communicate. It's a great way because we have all different schedules that questions are going to get answered. I mean, you might be a late bird, up at late at night. Carrie goes to bed at 9:30, hands down. So she doesn't answer her phone or anything else after 9:30. So this is a great way for you guys to still get your questions answered and still be a part of the class. All right. The next thing is class work. And this just shows us, this is where everything is stored. So as you can see, here are all our class clips. Everything we use in here that we show, the clips we show, we have clips that go for each class. So like in class 7, obviously they're talking about legal guarding positions. So, or guarding the ball handler dribbler. So we'll have a clip on that. Class 3, I guess, is talking about technicals. They'll talk about double technicals. We'll show those clips. And everything is in here. The rule book and the case book. So if you don't have a rule book or case book, it's right here. You can download it. It's right here. Okay. Final exam. That's not there yet. Or that might be a reference. Mechanics, the 2-person mechanics guide is there. Articles that we have put up. Things from John Levinson we put into the classwork. Study tips. Here's our Zoom link and syllabus, John. So it's right in there for you. So if I click on that, it's right here. So this is, can you guys see this, right?
Yes.
Great. So I'm opening the document. This is the syllabus. This is the Zoom link. It's embedded right into the syllabus. So you can't, if you lose it or whatever, you can't find it, it's right here. And so complete modules 1 and 2 next week. For next week, you need to do 3 and 4. So you guys kind of have to catch up a little bit. So
Sherry, it's the same Zoom link every week, right? I just want
yeah,
to.
same Zoom link every week. Okay, same Zoom link every week. All right, and then this is the whole syllabus of what we're doing. Okay, times and dates. All right, you guys got this already, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Yes,
Yes.
great. Thank you, thank you. And this is the welcome letter. All right. Same here, classroom, going to Google Classroom, Gmail account, everything's all right here for you. Okay, And then the last thing. So these are all the stuff that we put up online. So Amanda, so anything that John Levinson puts up online from the NCAA, we put out here. So our fouls and equal gravity sheets, our media timeout guidelines, our table crew references, shot clock reset scenarios. We put it all right here in the Google Classroom.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay, teaching point for the coach camp teaching points will be in there as well. Okay, so that is in the classroom. And then the people is just who's here. This is us, all right? These are all your instructors. If you want to email one of us, okay, you can click on it. Oh, what is that? Maybe not. Okay, wait a second.
Click on the name, click on the actual name.
Click on the
not
name.
dots, I believe.
Well, I
No?
did click on the dots.
No, I
This is-
think.
Anyway, well, that goes in the stream, even if you want to, I think that's what it is, Carl, because we want to put them in the stream. And then these are just everybody that's in the class. Okay, these are you guys. All right, so you can email each other, all right? Email a student. Okay,
You can
So-
create your own study group if you wanted to.
yeah, you can create your own study group. Okay, does this all make sense to you guys? No questions? You guys are good?
Yes, it is.
All right, awesome. Okay. So that's what your classroom, Google Classroom should look like. Okay. I showed you Wcboo U, Google Classroom. Any questions so far? Oh, yeah, Amanda, go ahead.
Those modules that we have, so it says week 1, 1, and 2, we have to do that, you said, on our own piece, so we have until next Sunday to do it, basically.
Yes,
That
so
one.
you really need to do 1 through 4,
Okay.
okay, for next week. Again, they're easy. They're 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes at the most.
Mhm.
If you really wanted to do this, you can knock out a course in less than an hour. That's including the quiz.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's not going to take a lot of your time. All right, but yeah, and you can do it whenever you need to.
And you
Okay,
could always go back and review, correct, Sherry?
yes, yep. You can go anytime you want. You guys want to add anything? You guys good with that? Okay. All right, so that is really all the administrative stuff that we have. We lost Dylan, didn't we? He got on the plane. Okay.
Yeah, he said he was leaving.
Okay, great. So that's all the administrative stuff we have. What we were gonna do tonight, because we knew that you guys did not have access to your coursework. We were just gonna go over the points of emphasis for the season. You can't hear it enough, basically. You went to camp, you saw some, you saw the camp points of emphasis, and they're basically the same thing as last year. So we're just going to go over those again, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, so the points of emphasis this year, last year, and actually the last few years are pretty much the same. I'm going to do a couple, and then Scott and Rich are going to chime in here. So,
Sherry, real quick,
Yeah.
do you just want to tell, for those who are new, where you find the points of emphasis in the rule book?
they would be in the front. Let me see where they are. I don't know. Yes, they are in the front. Okay, they are in the front. They're in the front of the book, where all the changes are. It's actually on page 6. The points of emphasis start there, and everything is highlighted there. So, but we're going to give you a synopsis of the points of emphasis. So if you've ever, any of you guys, and all of we have heard John speak, one of the main things he does is points of emphasis, and he's always tells us to enforce the rules as written. Okay. And the reason we say that is because we want consistency across the country. All right. we as officials are there to make the game fair. We don't care who wins or loses. We just want the game to be fair. And we don't want to give the offense or the defense any advantage or disadvantage. And I know we don't use those words in our language anymore, but for this, enforce the rules as written, I'm using it because we want everything to be fair. All right. And when we call the game enforce the rules as written, all right, there's consistency from game to game for whatever we do. And more importantly, for what we do, conference to conference, okay, region to region, okay, all the way to that state to state, all the way across the country until you get to the Final Four. So when those teams go to the Final Four and they're playing for the national championship, they know exactly how that game is going to be officiated because it should have been the same all the way through the whole season, right? So that's the super important of why we need to enforce the rules as written for whatever game we do, all right? This goes for high school too, because they need to have consistency in their game as well, all right? So that's why we want to call the rules as written. Okay, next one. Okay, tell me that didn't go. Why didn't it go? It worked before. There we go. Okay. Am I doing this one, Scott, or are you doing this one?
You could take legal guarding. I'll take the next one.
Okay, so legal guarding. We know that it used to be established, but it's obtained now. We want to attain legal guarding position on a offensive player or a ball handler dribbler. We know that 2 feet have to be on the floor to begin with. Our torso needs to be facing that offensive player to begin with. No time and distance is needed on an opponent with the ball. Okay, we know there is times and distance with a player without the ball. Okay, and the defender needs to obtain that legal guarding position before the air buncher leaves the playing court. Okay, once you have that, right, we can do a lot of things. Okay, we can move. All right, there's a lot of myths going on, and you'll hear it from the crowd. They were moving when there was contact or when they were hit or whatever. The defender's feet must be stationary, planted on the court to draw a charge. That is totally not correct. Okay. Once you obtain that legal guarding position, to maintain that legal guarding position, we can move backwards, obliquely, and diagonal. Okay. The only way we can't move is forward. Once we move forward into that offensive player, then it becomes the defender's foul. Okay, but as long as we're moving backwards, diagonally, or obliquely, that is legal. All right. The defender must face the opponent after obtaining legal guarding position. Well, I just explained that we don't have to. The defender was moving. Of course, you're going to be moving. If the ball handler dribbler is dribbling down the court and you're guarding her, right, you have to be moving, right? Otherwise, she's going to go right past you. So that myth is bogus too. All right. An official shouldn't default to a blocking foul when the defender's status is unknown. Just because we don't know, don't always put it on the defense. All right. And that's something that a lot of people do because they don't know the status. We've got to know the status of that defender. Okay. That's me. Go ahead, Scott.
Sorry, I'm going to unmute myself.
Okay.
Traveling, I don't want to use the word bet because we're officials, but I think it's safe to say that traveling will be a point of emphasis from now, and it's been for several years, probably until every person on this call has hung up their shoes for officiating. I think traveling is always a point of emphasis, and based on any level you're doing, the players are getting better, they're getting faster, they're getting quicker. So like Sherry said, we're not using the word advantage, disadvantage, or gaining an advantage, but traveling and missed travels usually lead to either baskets or fouls or things that could have been prevented if we just picked up that pivot foot. And coaches must teach the players how to legally start and end their dribble. An athletic move is a code for an illegal play. Watch the teams in warmups because you'd be surprised how many players travel all the time. So it's on their coaches to teach them how to properly use their pivot foot and to not travel. But the reason they do it is because we're not calling them. So they're not going to stop doing what they're doing, especially if they are gaining an advantage until we start calling those travels. And, I know I ref very often with Rich and Carl and Cherry, and, you'll see us before a game say, I was like, come over here, watch 5. And the players just literally traveling every single time. A lot of times when they're taking 3-pointers, they want to catch the ball with their right foot to shuffle. Whatever they can do to get an advantage, they are going to do. So we need to call it, and we need to call it, like Sherry said, on November 7th, all the way to the Final Four and the national championship. And until we do that and do a better job of it, they're going to keep doing the same things they're doing. And when the location of the pivot foot at the time of the dribble ended is uncertain, the benefit of the doubt should rest of the player having made a legal play. So we are not guessing on travels. I mean, we do as officials miss, we call a lot of them, but we do miss enough. So we definitely don't want to guess on the ones that we're not sure. Another term we don't want to use is 50-50, but for the sake of, this call, and we're talking, we're putting out there and using, common sense, we do not want to take a possession away from a team unless we are 100% sure. And that's, and I would say the same on a foul or anything else regarding a violation. We just want to make sure that when we know things and we use our judgment and we see things, our accuracy is in the 90s. It's when we guess and we kind of, we react to plays too quick is when we get ourselves in trouble. And I think we do that a lot on traveling and missed travels. You can go to the next slide. I'll take the next slide.
Did I not do that?
Yeah, it didn't go.
It didn't go. Great. Oh, wait. Sorry. Oh, God. It's not doing it. There we go. Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So contact on and by the ball handler dribbler. This rule has been, not to just read the slide, but I was going to say it's been a few years, and so obviously since 2003, you get 1 measure up, 1 hot stove, and then a second touch, an arm bar, alternating hand touches, or 2 hands simultaneous, or all automatic fouls. And I could say, and I think we all are on the same page, you get a lot more grief at this point when you do not call it than when you do. And I know that we all went through the transition of when we were enforcing this, and the coaches may have not been happy with it. The players, that's ticky tack. That's this, that's a cheap foul. And we're 85 feet from the basket. But I think the NCAA, specifically John Levinson, has done an amazing job in really beating this into the teams and the players that this is going to be called, and we are not straying away from it. That I think in 2022, when you miss these, is the only time you're going to get grief. I can't remember the last time I called any of these a foul and I heard a word from a coach or a player. I think it was a tedious process, but I think that we've all done a good job in calling these. So now it's expected of us. So it's even more, it's even more substantial when we don't call it, because I think the players are now being coached to show their hands. They're being taught to move their feet. It frees up the offensive players. Everybody likes scoring. Our points per game went up. And I think that we've done a really good job, and we're not going to stray away from this now, especially, even though the beginning of the season, I think that's a sign to set the tone that it's another year, but we're still calling this.
Yeah. And to
Quick question. Hold on.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Sure.
go ahead.
Who's really the ones that are making the rules? Who makes the rules?
Well, there's a rules committee, but basically the
And
players.
who's on the committee?
Yes, players. It's a mix of players, coaches. Are there any officials on the rules committee?
Yeah.
It's more coaches. It's
There's
more
coaches. Yes, exactly.
Well,
Coaches.
of course, there are some officials on it too, but
Yeah, the coaches are. Carl's brings a great point. They're making the rules. So obviously, when they're sitting around the table and they're making a rule to enforce this, they want them to be called for sure.
yeah.
Good point. Great point.
So so on page 4 actually has in the NCAA rule book, the NCAA rules committee, and they are all coaches. Alex Lang from Brooklyn, you guys, is on it, matter of fact. So it is, they are on, that is the National Rules Committee. So yeah, and I was going to say that the reason this rule was put in is because people want to see offense. People want to see the ball go into the basket. People, and by us calling the arm bars, the double hands, the two hands, if we don't call that, it doesn't allow for the offense to execute, and it doesn't allow them to run their offense and get to the basket. And that's what
Especially in the women's game.
especially in the
Absolutely.
women's game, right? And so one way that we can judge that is anytime that the rhythm, speed, balance, and quickness is affected on the ball handler, all right, we know that that's a foul. So it has to be an arm bar or two hands on them. So we've got to get that arm bar. And you're right, Scott. Now that we don't call it, that's what we hear. Oh, they touched them. They touched them.
Yeah, and you know, just like, I mean, now that we, you know, most of us are in the college officiating ranks, regardless of time and score, that those
Yeah.
it's really out the window at this point. You know, the tape doesn't lie, and coaches are famous for sending in raw footage on clips, and there is no time, there is no score, there is no, you know, any variable besides the actual play. So as much as it may pain us to do it, and you know, teams down big late, you know, I'm guilty of it, you know, in the past where I'm like, you know what, but now at the point where we are, and the point where the NCAA says it, especially points of emphasis that they want called, we, you know, it's not our jurisdiction to bend the rules. We're just enforcing the rules as written. So I
Right.
think if we do that, we stay out of trouble for sure.
Exactly. And we'll have some clips on this as well.
Yep.
Okay, post play.
I'll take post play.
Yep.
A post player is a player with or without the ball, with their back to the basket, who is inside the 3-second lane or approximately 3 feet outside all lanes that define the lane. So that goes back to our mechanics manual and knowing what the actual post is. We can't properly enforce rules unless we know the area and the adjudication that pertains to that particular area. I mean, if you're explaining to a coach that this is a foul, this is a violation because of this, and there's a location on the floor. I always joke, and I think I've joked with Rich, we have a lot of areas where we have imaginary lines or, you know, imaginary boxes, but we really got to identify what is the post, especially things like this, post play, and not to get ahead, but RALDB, in, out, because that eliminates a lot of the, you know, the guessing if we just knew the location of the play and the area that the play took place. A arm bar or one hand bent elbow, so we're not bending the elbow and displacing. Any type of displacement is always a foul, an automatic foul. So just because that elbow is bent doesn't mean the girl can throw her into the 3-point line extended. We're making sure that we're adjudicating the rules properly and enforcing the rules as written. And once a player has legally obtained their position as a defender, an offensive post player, they can neither displace their opponent nor be displaced from that position. So like I just said, just because we have rules that we can do certain things, the displacement is never allowed. It is always illegal. We'll talk more about this because I actually have a couple good post plays that I'll show later on in the class. But post plays, probably, like I said before about traveling, it's probably going to be a point of emphasis for a while.
Yeah, so great point. And you guys, when you go through course 1 and it shows you all the courts and the courts markings and everything, there's actually a picture that highlights the LDB in the first course. So talking about imaginary 3 feet outside of the lane area, that will show you what we mean by that.
Yeah, it's not easy when we see words like approximately,
Right.
because my approximately and Sherry's approximately may be different, but we need to make sure that we know the rules and we know the rule language. So when we explain our call to a coach, we're not saying, well, she was kind of near, and she wasn't in well, coach, it's approximately 3 feet, or, just quote the rule book. When we quote the rule book, we could use our personalities towards coaches, but when when we use rule book language, we cannot get in trouble. Can't
Right.
stress that enough.
Absolutely.
I
Okay,
think Rich is going to take the next one.
okay, this is just, can you just, while you're doing post play, can you, well, here's another slide on post play.
Oh. Well, the defenders may not legally impede or displace offensive post players.
We talked
Off-
about that.
Yep, offensive players, post players may not back down or otherwise displace the defender. And 3 seconds in the lane area. So remember, 3 seconds in the lane area is more than 3 seconds. And as a guide, a lot of us like to use the shot clock. When you pick up that player in the post, we like to use that shot clock because a savvy coach might say, she was in it, 23 and you call it 21. So it's more than 3 seconds. There's no worse feeling, man, looking at breaking down it, calling a 3-second violation, looking down at the tape, and then you see that the shot clock didn't turn, or the game clock didn't turn 3 seconds. This is not an I got you. This is to kind of free up the lane and let players move throughout the lane. And remember, an attempt to leave the lane is a new 3 seconds. A lot of coaches don't understand that. If a player is trying to leave the lane, that is an attempt to leave the lane. We get a new 3-second count. So it's not a continuation; it's a completely new count. And offensive post players, and I've seen this. They're taking liberty. They think that well, there's so many things that the defense can't do that we're just going to back them down and just rumble ourselves in there. So make sure that we're penalizing illegal contact on the offensive. Well, we're not. A lot of the things in our rulebook are geared towards more points and offense and scoring, but we want to make sure that we cannot penalize legal players and legal defense for sure.
Right. Right. And when we don't get the 3 seconds in the lane area, it's a disadvantage to the defense. You're making the defense work way harder than they need to.
Absolutely.
And that's not fair to them. And it could lead to a score and or a foul that should have never been called. So we need to do a better job on that. And we know that once they receive the ball, even if you were at 3 seconds, but that player makes a play towards the basket,
Yep, we hold their count. Yep.
we hold our count until she shoot and try for goal. All right. If she passes it, then we're going to call it. But otherwise, we've got to get that 3 seconds.
Yep.
Carl, you have a question?
Yeah, Scott, can you just dive in a little bit further on the attempt to leave the lane? Because I'll be honest, that was like a new term that I've never heard that before. Okay,
so if a player is trying to leave the lane for 3 seconds, and there's a defensive player there, and for some reason that there's not a legal contact, but we deem it's an attempt to leave the lane, we're holding our count. Okay, or else we'd run into the position where players would kind of be almost like screening and keeping a player in the lane. So anytime a player on offense is attempting, and I've said that to coaches and kind of got a similar reaction. Oh, well, I never heard of that. That's in the rule book. An attempt to leave the lane, we are holding our 3 second count, because if not, a savvy team with 2 big girls can pretty much put
Lock
2
in.
players screening.
They'll screen
lock them
that
in.
player to
they'll
hold her
screen-
in to get the 3 second count.
Exactly.
Okay,
So
thank
it's an
you.
attempt. Yeah. And now that's our own judgment. So we make sure that if we don't have a 3 second violation, or a more than 3 second violation, as I like to call it, that we explain to the coach, that post player was making a attempt to leave the lane and couldn't. And your player may not be doing anything illegal, but she was preventing her from leaving.
And real quick, do you guys try to talk them out of it? At
No.
the beginning of the game at all, or no? Not like high school.
So we
Everybody has a different philosophy.
there's a
Don't
okay.
get caught.
So
Don't get caught.
I could say this. I work for several supervisors that Rich works for. You may get different answers. We aren't, how can I put this politically correct? We're not there to coach them,
Mhm.
Right.
but we want to be approachable, and we want to be able to communicate with players. Do I think taking out a Louis of your mouth and say, get out, get out, get out? And I think that's a thing of the past.
Mhm.
We are not doing that because, like I said before, savvy coaches, what are you coaching her?
Yeah,
they
if you
can hear
don't do
that.
it on the other side. then-
Now, when that girl fouls and she's standing next to us on the free
Mhm.
throw line, I might say, especially if it's a team that you've had, or teams get to know you, players get to know you, they see the same faces over and over. I might say, you got to get out. Yeah, I don't want to call it for a sec, or whatever way you communicate it, just say, and a lot of times they know. Make sure I got you. I got you. And guess what? If you have to call on them again, you're not going to yell I told her to get out.
Mhm.
You're doing something to prevent, hopefully, a player from making that mistake again.
And another
You
thing on top of that, I think there's a lot of younger players that do not know that posting up with 1 foot in, 1 foot out is being in. They think that is being out.
Right. Absolutely.
So even reminding them about that is another good tip. Hey, you need to clear the lane for us to start it back up. A lot of them think they can just put their foot up, put it back down, and that it restarts a new count. So even just like clarifying the rule for them is a subtle way of saying, you got to make sure you're moving through the lane.
Hey, watch yourself.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
question though,
gotta get
Amanda.
both feet
Yeah,
out.
no problem.
Gotta get
I
both
just
feet
know
out.
it's like, you don't want to call at like the first play, like, and then,
Well,
No.
Unwritten rule.
you don't. That's another thing. Make a first foul a good one. What does that? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Don't we want all our fouls to be good ones?
Mhm.
Like make your first. A lot of these things, and a lot of like one of the supervisors that Rich and I work for, and she's right. Like a lot of these cliches we use are just cliches. They're, if you really think about it, what is, so if I'm going to make my first foul good, am I going to make my second, third, and fourth like crappy? You know what I mean? We say things because we've heard them, and we don't know any better because we talk to officials, and officials talk like officials. But obviously we want to get the most plays we can right. But guess what? If the first play of the game, the post player is in the lane for more than clear, I'll say it for the first play of the game, clearly more than 3 seconds. So clearly, then guess what? The first play of the game is gonna be a 3-second violation.
Mhm.
Does it happen very often? Is it a good feeling? Does it make us tingle? Probably not. But guess what? If it's a 1-point game and that girl scores, that coach is sending in the first play of the game of the girl being in the lane for 6 seconds, her scoring, and us not calling it.
Mhm.
And it's unfortunate that this is the reality that we're in. It's like society. Everything's recorded or a phone, or so
Mhm.
we have to try to be as accountable as we can at all times for everything that we do on the court.
And Amanda, sometimes what I might do, and it comes with experience and knowing the teams and knowing the coaches. If I know the coaches or I have a good rapport with them, I might come down the sideline, and I'll say to the assistant, I will not say it to the head coach, but I'll say to the assistant, hey, got to get 25 out of the lane. 25 out, got to get her out of the lane. That's if I have a good rapport with that bench.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm preventing officiating.
Yeah.
I'm not coaching. I'm not talking to the player. I'm just giving them a suggestion. So, but that comes with time.
Mhm.
So,
Thanks.
sure. Okay, Rich.
Yeah. So I think this is another point of emphasis that has been a part of our yearly points of emphasis for quite a while right now. And I think it is, this is another one I just think we're just going to see for a little while longer. One, now that coaches have a larger box to work with, so they feel they have a little bit more room to play with. But I think also what it stems from is clearly the differences between our game and the men's game with college basketball. I think they're looking to bring those closer together. So definitely with misconduct and sporting behavior, it goes for those players that are on the floor playing, but then more importantly, the bench personnel. So, you have misconduct by players, coaches, bench personnel is not permitted. Taunting, baiting, finger pointing, all that is inappropriate. And to what Scott and Sherry are saying, being on film benefits us in these scenarios when you can clearly see demonstrative behavior by coaches or players on the film and you assess a technical foul, there's no questions asked. It's clearly and defined there. When we don't address it, that's when it backlashes on us there. But definitely disrespectfully or inappropriately addressing an official, there's no warnings. I know we all have a toolbox in terms of warnings. That there's no warning for that. We go right to the technical there. A warning is not something that we have to kind of acknowledge and use every time. We can rise right up to the level of a technical foul without anybody's discrepancy or argument around it there. And thanks for flipping over, Sherry. I think we have one of our most popular coaches on the sideline there in terms of people. Some would say it's misconduct, some would say it's just excitement. But you know what I was talking about earlier with the box, you know, they have 38 feet to work with. And in some cases, especially in Kim Mulkey's case, a very wide sideline. So not just end to end, but side to side there. So whenever they go past either line, you know, and engages in misconduct, it shall warrant a warning. Or again, if it rises to that level, we can surpass that box warning. And because she drops the FU on you, we go right up to that technical right away there.
Right.
And then the other thing that I think that it happens a lot more, you have a team go on a 10-0 run. The coach on the O side of it wants to call timeout and also didn't like a call during that. And their team is running out onto the court to greet their players, high five. We need to make sure, and I think this is happening a lot more, that they're running out to half court past their bench area. So I think that's something that we just need to be mindful of, that their bench area does virtually extend onto the court during their timeout, but it doesn't go beyond you know, where they're running out past the half court mark. And that's just more of a safety thing too. The last thing you want is two players bumping into each other at half court and one seeing it as the wrong way. So I think those things are things that we need to recognize right at the beginning of the game and address as needed. And it may not be, you know, giving a technical right away, but just, you know, what Sherry was saying, mention the assistant coach. Hey, I know they're excited, which is great. We want that, but just make sure that they're staying on their half of the court and staying within their you know, extended bench area.
Well, I think that came from Rich, from the men's game, that when a timeout would be called, the bench players on the end of the bench would come all the way out to high five the starters so they could get on TV.
Yeah.
I really believe that's where that came from. And then they had to herd them back in to say, whoa, we need to rein them back in because this is going to be an issue. So, okay, great. So they are the points of emphasis this year. For every year, they will always be points of emphasis until we get it right. And when we have a perfect game, then it's time for us to hang up the shoes. So that's never going to happen. But you will hear them again when you go to your interpretations for your conferences. And you heard them today, right, Scott? Did you hear them today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and they kind of piggyback what we said. A lot of the points of emphasis are the same and probably will be the same for quite a while. So until we, you know, collectively all do a better job, and we do get a lot of them right, so it's not that we're being negative,
Right.
but I think there's such a focal part of the game until we, you know, make substantial moves and changes that we're going to keep seeing them.
Yep. Okay, do we have any questions? Because it's past 9:30. So we are pretty much done. Amanda, you have anything? John?
No, I thought it was a great first presentation, you know, hit the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
No questions. I just, you know, for me, it's going to be, you know, because I'm going to be doing college and high school, obviously the same season. So basically differentiating and make sure,
Yep.
you know,
We'll
I'm
get to
getting
there.
correct rules and mechanics, you know, all that stuff. So I appreciate it and definitely will be helpful.
Yeah, and if you have, Amanda, if you have any questions or John or John and John, but if you guys have any questions, you know, this probably goes maybe more for you, Amanda, because you're newer to the game. Not rules or mechanics based. We'll do our best to help you. We don't have a crystal ball, obviously, and you know, Rich and I and Carl and Sherry, we talk all the time too. So we kind of just lean on each other for opinion. So we'll do the best to point you in the right direction. You know, if you have any questions, feel free to, you know, you could reach out to us either by, you know, phone or email, text, whatever you're comfortable with.
Thanks.
Yeah, so if you have any questions this week, put them in the stream. One of us will get back to you and answer them. But for your homework, you need to get through 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then next week, we will go over them. You'll do your quizzes. If you have any questions on the quizzes, you know, we'll go over that. And then we'll probably have some, well, we will have some clips pertaining to whatever the topics are that week. Okay. All right, guys. Scott, Rich, Carl, stay on for a minute. Okay, when we hang up.
Yep.
All right, guys. Good night. Great
Good night,
job.
everybody.
First one, and we'll see you next week. Same
Sherry,
time.
stop the recording.
Yes, stop the recording.
Thank you,
Hold on.
guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, Amanda. Good night, John. Good night, John.
Good night.